Take you to a special place in Shanghai where people with intellectual disabilities can work as cashier, and those with hearing impairment can shine like live streamers. This place is called Buy for Two, meaning buy for you and for someone special. It's not just a charity thrift store, but we often call it a 解忧杂货铺. Here, each donation gets a second life, and each shall create job opportunities for people with disabilities. And more importantly, it built a community where differences don't divide, but connect. Now you may wonder, how does such community look like in action? But before we explore that, let me first ask you a question. What does community mean to you? Is that your neighborhood, our cutie student group chat, or your sports team? The founder of 542 depicted it beautifully. Community is the place where mutual support between people flow. So you might wonder, what does it look like in action? Let's look at two things. Scene one, at the checkout corner, the cashier with intellectual disabilities might take a little longer to counting changes and during the sale. And instead of impatience, consumer leans in and helping them with the math. At the end of the day, the financial record will never go wrong. Scene two, when we're opening up a new charity store, the place is often filled with laughter because you can see the kids and grandparents all pitching in as volunteers. They are arranging products, organizing sales, and unpacking the goods. And we're not just, as we physically putting the store together, we're also building trust between our team and the community. However, in our society, the voices of the disabled groups is often absent, not because they don't speak, just because we don't pay enough attention. In China, the government will grant living allowance for people with disabilities, but only 3% of that support goes to their psychological health. Day after day, we reinforce this stereotype, building the invisible walls that keep them out of workplace, out of public places, and sometimes even out of our sight. I think the disabled community face a crucial paradox, one that renders them with both seen and unseen. They're hyper-visible when a society craves inspiration. They're made into viral video about wheelchair users defying stereotype and the story of overcoming adversity. They're being reduced to the tools for clicks, share, and feel-good consumerism. While at the next moment, when equal opportunities for their employment and education is being discussed, they become completely invisible and erased from our community. So I want to say that there is a story that one of my friends of 542 who has partial hearing that once told me that he hanging out with his deaf friends, and when they're walking on the street, all he could hear is people commenting about their disabilities and their way of communication. I'd rather not hear anything, he told me that, and that truly broke my heart. In our society's relentless pursuit of efficiency, we have developed a peculiar form of hearing, one that amplifies the noises of productivity while silencing the voices that don't fit into the predetermined rhythms. But there's so much more than society's assumptions. They're kind, resilient, and fiercely determined to be heard. As someone who is passionate about film and photography, I know how power has distorted narrative throughout art history. For decades, male directors who worked behind the camera have crafted stories where women were being reduced to fixed traits like fragile and obedient. And this pattern extends far beyond cinema. In every aspect of our life, the one who was in position of power has claimed the absolute control of the narrative, where the individual voices were being systematically silenced because they try to challenge the dominance. So the question is, how do we truly listen? And how do we move beyond sympathy to foster understanding? Take me as an example. When I was young, I fell in love with two things that shape how I see the world: stories and cameras. For years, I have chased what I thought was great art, The film was breathtaking visuals but obscure meaning. The photography that is so stylized that felt like more like a dream than reality. I became obsessed with crafting the most striking visuals and most perfect composition, while oftentimes forgetting the most truthful purpose of documentation is to capture the story that is happening just around us. But when I worked as a volunteer at By42, my worldview became to shift. As I encountered a diverse group of people, the elderly who come from the neighborhood, the young people browsing through products, and also the passionate photographer telling his backstage stories. And when our life briefly intersected, and at the moment we truly listened to each other's story, genuine human connection naturally formed. And I felt a sense of community. And so I think that during my journey of photography and storytelling, I have found the truthful meaning of documentation is to amplify the voices that the society is trying to silence. During last winter holiday, I went to this documentary workshop when I followed a young man named Didi for 14 days as he worked as a cashier and online sales manager. And my story, A Tree of a Time, has documented his journey in By42. At first, he is the one that needs constant guidance, like how to arrange a product, how to wrapping the packages, and the manager patiently informed him this information. And day after day, now he is the master of using AI to generate products. And when we're opening up a new shop, it was him that everybody turned help with because he is just the master of digital inventory system. And the one who needs help has become the helper. And when I shared this documentary online and it repelled and reached more audiences, I have found my role have shifted from being a recorder that worked behind the camera to someone who actually seeking stories and connecting different groups of people. And it was that I found something revolutionary. Disabilities don't weaken the community, it redefines it. And now let's get back to the definition of community, the place where mutual support between people flows. Now, By42 is a window for the children to look at community and sustainability, and it becomes a bridges to connecting urban resources and rural areas. And more importantly, it becomes the warmth of a city. And all of that is based on the respect and understanding of different voices. So come and visit our By42 shop someday because it's pretty near our school. And because just like the motto of By42, stepping in and you can change the world.